Hey guys, so remember that time when I said I wasn't going to buy any more books until the end of the year? Well, that epically failed. So my library had a used book sale a couple of weeks ago and I couldn't resist going, obviously, and then I have a few things here that I was sent by publishers, and let's go ahead and just get into it before the stat gets any more unruly. So the first book I have here actually doesn't apply to either of those things I just said, and that is 100 Shadows by Hwang Jung-eun, translated by Jung Yi-won. That was my dog, apologies. This is a South Korean novel that was published by Tilted Axis Press, which is a relatively new independent publisher based in the UK, I believe, that focuses on publishing translated fiction and is co-founded by Deborah Smith, who is the translator behind Han Kang's The Vegetarian and Human Acts. Now, I'm not sure if my review for April Magazine is up yet at the time this video goes live, so if it is, I will link it in the description box below, but this is a very strange little novel, and I'm really not sure how to describe it. At the most basic level, this is a story about two young people, a young woman and a young man, who work at this kind of dilapidated electronics market that is slowly being demolished one building at a time, and it really follows their awkward interactions as they try and navigate the beginnings of their relationship. I will definitely talk more about this in my November wrap-up, and of course you can read the review if you would like an attempt at more complete thoughts, but basically speaking, I don't really know how to talk about this. It's a really beautifully written novel, but it's very weird and it's way more experimental than I normally read, so I feel like I wasn't equipped enough to accurately discuss this one, so yeah, go check out the written review if you want to see what I managed to scrounge up out of my brain. I think I'm going to go ahead and go through the library sale books because I want to save the more exciting publisher copies for the end, but at this library book sale they were doing $2 per bag of books, however many books you could cram in a single bag, and I think I did pretty well. So I wasn't really expecting to find a ton of great stuff. I was really expecting to find maybe some cool editions of classics, which I did find one, which is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Now, this is one of the old school 50-cent Signet classic editions, and I really like this color. It's super vintage, and I really like these kind of smaller classics. Now, believe it or not, I somehow managed to make it through AP English in high school and a lit degree in college without reading The Scarlet Letter, so I really need to rectify that, especially because I actually like Nathaniel Hawthorne's writing. I really enjoy his short fiction, so hopefully I will get to this one relatively soon because I feel like this is a huge hole in my lit knowledge. Then for another small book, I picked up Surfacing by Margaret Atwood. Now, I know absolutely nothing about this aside from the fact that it is written by Margaret Atwood, and I haven't read anything of hers yet, so I thought maybe this would be an easy way to get into her because it is really quite short. If you've read this and know anything about it, please let me know in the comments below, but what really grabbed me was the blurb on here that says, "The most shattering novel a woman ever wrote, even better than The Bell Jar, vivid and gripping," and that's by the New York Times. Then, of course, you can't go to a library book sale without picking up at least one mass market paperback, so I picked up Deja Dead by Kathy Reichs. This is the first book in the Temperance Brennan series, which of course inspired the TV show Bones, which I used to be obsessed with, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Temperance Brennan is like in the actual books. I've never read any of Kathy Reichs' adult fiction, but I have read her young adult novel Virals, and while I really liked the kind of mystery crime element to that novel, I thought she wrote teenagers horribly, so I'm hoping that this is the stellar mystery plus a more well-written character, so we'll see. Then I was really pleasantly surprised to find that they had a lot of really good kind of literary or general fiction copies, so I picked up a few, starting with Snow Falling on Cedars, a novel by David Gutterson. I really don't know too much about this one other than the fact that it is set off Puget Sound and I believe deals with a Japanese American and a potential murder investigation, but something about it jogged something in my memory. It felt familiar in some way, shape, or form, so I had to go ahead and pick this up. Then I found The Hours by Michael Cunningham, which is of course the book behind the movie starring Meryl Streep and Julianne Moore, and is loosely based on or not so loosely based on Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I don't have a great relationship with Virginia Woolf. I made it about halfway through To the Lighthouse when I was in high school and haven't picked it up since, though it is on my Back to University TBR, but I have constantly been told that Mrs. Dalloway is a better place to get into her writing, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things about The Hours, so I guess I will have to pick up Mrs. Dalloway so that I can read this one. Then I was super excited to find a copy of The Crimson Petal and the White by Michelle Faber, which of course I heard about on Jen Campbell's channel. Again, I don't really know much about this aside from the fact that it is about a prostitute, I believe, living in Victorian London, but Jen goes on and on about this, so she hasn't steered me wrong yet, and I thought I would go ahead and pick it up, you know, for practically nothing. Then on my way out, I found Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. Now, I've actually never read anything by Jeffrey Eugenides, even though I've had the Virgin Suicides recommended to me multiple times, and I'm hoping that this will really push me to read something of his, because from what I can tell, people who like the kinds of books that I like really like his writing, so hopefully this will be a good push. So those were all of the books from the library sale, and now I do have a few things here from publishers, starting off with my next Blogging for Books book, which is Under the Tuscan Sun by Frances Mays, and this is a reprint for its 20th anniversary, complete with a new afterword by the author. This is, of course, the memoir behind the film, which is actually the only chick flick romance type movie on my top movies ever list. Not that I really have one, but you know, if I did, this would be on there. And I'm really excited to get into the actual memoir behind the film. I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of months ago I reviewed Where We Go When All We Were Is Gone by Sequoia Nagamatsu, and the publisher Black Lawrence Press got in contact with me and said that if I ever wanted to review any of their other work, to just let them know. So of course I had to pick a couple of things from their catalog, starting with Families Among Us, Stories by Blake Kimsey. This is a chapbook of short stories that I first heard about on Jen Campbell's channel. Now, it was after seeing Jen talk about this that I actually discovered Black Lawrence Press at all, so I'm really hoping to enjoy this. It is ridiculously short. It's not even 50 pages, and from what I can remember, Jen really liked it as well, so I'm got big hopes for this one. Then the other title I requested was The Following Sea by Marcel Joly, and I just really liked the sound of the synopsis, so I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Joseph Marakel asks for little. As chief of police in Skagway, Alaska, he simply wants things in order. When a lifelong friend is found dead and her boyfriend goes missing, Marakel must trade this quiet, predictable existence for the very aspects of his profession he had hoped to avoid by returning home to rural southeast Alaska. The investigation will drag him through this landlocked region where a stretch of heavy October rain makes flight hard and pursuit harder. Despite familiar terrain and old acquaintances, the lawman can't help but feel himself adrift in a territory of personal histories that, until now, Joseph Marakel thought he knew as well as his own. So this sounds like a really cool mix of detective and frontier fiction, which I am so down for, so I will definitely review this one once I get into it. I'm not even going to attempt to hold up that ridiculous stack of books, but that is everything I have acquired over the past month. So if you have read any of those titles and you would like to recommend that I pick up one before the others, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And that is going to be officially it until the end of the year when I go to San Francisco, because I have to be able to buy books in San Francisco, but from now on I will library any titles I feel I need to have in my life, because I literally just bought back like all of the books I managed to knock off my TBR, so good job, Marissa. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and are having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye! Heard about on Jan